we're getting reports that President Trump has committed to signing the sanctions bill, the Russia sanctions bill, which is huge news. This is an issue, and I believe that he may be getting some really terrible advice. It's going to bring the distress of nations to a higher level of perplexity that we have yet even to see. And it's already at a high level as it is, okay? Okay. So in Europe, let me give you another headline here. LA Times has reported in Europe, U.S. sanctions bill creates worries about a controversial Russia pipeline. The U.S. sanctions bill approved this week in the House of Representatives has European leaders worried about how the bill could affect continental divisions over dependence on Russian oil and gas. I just want to say this for the record. These sanctions against Russia has nothing to do with the 2016 presidential election, so-called them imposing on it.
Yes.
It has everything to do with oil. It has everything to do with gas. And I want to read a little bit of this headline. If President Trump signs the bill, it would put into law sanctions approved by President Obama, which were largely created in collaboration with European consultation. But the new bill would expand the list of targeted Russian companies and individuals, particularly in the energy sector. That could subject European companies to U.S. sanctions for doing business with Russian companies on the list, specifically jeopardizing a controversial $10 billion gas pipeline project called Nord Stream 2. In a nutshell, we're looking at order versus order. Okay? There's constant new world orders battling here. Now we know that there's going to be the new world order is going to be on the scene soon, which is the rise of the beast system, the Antichrist. But right now we are looking at order, which is the Western nations, the U.S., the NATO nations, Canada, Australia, European Union, versus the nations that have a hegemonic mindset towards the Western democracies, such as Russia, China, Iran, Middle Eastern nations. I'll say really a large part of the Asian continent. Also, many of the South American nations, which include Venezuela and more. You have under the Obama administration, we all remember what happened during the Arab Spring. The Arab Spring was a big mess. I'm not going to get into all that. We've done that before. We're not going to get into that. But there were many nations in the Middle East that were toppled and were taken over by the Muslim Brotherhood. And things have kind of, for some nations, things got kind of back to normal. Like for Egypt, for instance. But not for all of them. Libya is still a mess. Well, they were trying to get Syria, right? Why are they constantly trying to get Syria? Well, many believe it's because Syria has some significant gas in that nation. So it's like a big game of risk. Whatever nation can get in there to topple the government wins the spoil, wins the booty, right? So here you have Russia understanding what Barack Obama, under that administration, was trying to do. So Russia comes in on the invite of Syria and says, and whether the president of Syria knew that this was Obama and the new, I'd say I'm not going to call them the New World Order, but the World Order's game plan to come in and overtake the Assad regime just so they could get that spoil. Russia may have let Assad in on it, but more likely Assad knew because he's not, I don't think he's a dumb man. But the point is that, so now Russia's been protecting Syria, saying we're here. Okay, so that's why Russia thought, okay, and Putin is not a dumb man by any means as well. I believe he's as wise as serpent. I don't know if he's as gentle as a dove, but I think he's as wise as a serpent. And so Putin gave Trump the benefit of the doubt. Well, if we could get Trump in, because he already knew how Hillary Clinton was. Hillary was going to try to overtake Syria. She was on it. She, as Secretary of State, even after she was done with being Secretary of State, she knew that if she was going to become president, she was going to get Assad out. She was going to behead that man one way or the other. That's where the creation of ISIS came in, and all hell breaking loose over in that part of the region with that civil war in Syria. That's still raging to this day. So Putin gave Trump the benefit of the doubt. If we could get Trump in, not saying that he had, I don't know, he didn't get him. The American people voted Trump in, okay? But basically, Putin was hoping Trump gets in, gives him the benefit of the doubt that he'll lead it another way. He'll restore relations with the U.S. and Russia and calm down any war, leave Syria alone so that they can have that's their stuff. Whatever oil, whatever gas, whatever, not spoil, whatever they have under their grounds is theirs. Don't try to come in and take it. Well, the only thing is that Putin already knew that that Trump still had some Obama people in the White House. And so he's watching with a very close eye to see what takes place. He meets with Trump very recently, gets an idea of how he is, and he already knows he can't trust him. That's why he's already taking proactive measures to release 755 of our personnel at the U.S. embassies. And so you now know now Trump, or now you have Putin saying, okay, we're not, obviously you're not, you even if you could change it, you have so much people talking into your ears telling you that this is the way. Let's punish Russia, let's sanction Russia, and we'll gloss it over with lies of the presidential, the presidential election. Yes. Thank you. Please come in anytime. And they gave Trump, talking about the powers that be in the White House, they told Trump two things. They said, well, if you do sanctions against Russia, that'll get the news off your back, because everybody in the news is trying to crucify you, saying that you were in collusion with the Russians to try to oust Hillary Clinton, and you were in by help with the Russians and you knew it. But if you actually sanction Russia, then now it'll look like you're not for Russia. You and Russia didn't plan this thing all together. So there's a so-called win for Donald Trump, and now maybe the news and all these rumors could get off his back. The bad thing is that at the same time, they probably more than likely told Trump, and I'm sure they have already, that if, of course, the main reason why we want to get into Syria, why we want to now sanction Russia, is because of this pipeline. This is gas. There's billions of dollars. Yes. And you're a billionaire, right, Trump? You know how this works. You know what we need to say to the public and what we really need to do behind the scenes. And so the behind the scenes thing, obviously, is to sanction Russia, because Russia had their Nord Stream gas pipeline project that is, again, $10 billion alone, just for that in and of itself, to be, I don't want to say a monopoly, but in a way, a monopoly for Russia when it comes to this gas pipeline and the nations that they were going to be serving.